Welcome to Season 2, Episode 16 of the Oh So Spurs podcast, where Spurs are sitting pretty on the top of the table. And we've got a special guest of us today, Hollie from Hollie's Hotspurs. How are you, Hollie?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm really looking forward to dissecting everything in that game at the weekend, so thank you.
As are we, and it's great to have you on. And from the usual delinquents, we have Sai, who is our Fabio Paratici lookalike. How are you, Sai?
Buono tutti. I don't know what that means, but apparently it means something.
We have to ask Stu, who's obviously on. There you go. We have our Heisenberg lookalike, and Johnny. How are you?
I'm really good. It's a little bit hot out here in New Mexico, but I'll keep plugging away.
And we have Stu, our Dubai-based Italian stallion. How are you?
Buonasera a tutti.
Buonasera tutti. That's what I meant.
And yeah, you got me on, Jim, as always. We have to find my nickname soon. But the baby-faced assassin I was called last time. But anyway, great result again. Well, a very difficult result, though, but a great result all the same. Hollie, what did you make of it?
Yeah, it's not like Spurs to do things easy, is it? I was going to say, like you said, 3 points are 3 points. The way we got it was a bit hairy in the sense that it wasn't easy. But yeah, no, pleased with it. It was those games that we should be winning this year to root of old under Conte. So it's quite nice now with Ange to get those ones over the line. So yeah, brilliant.
It is. And what about you, Sai?
Yeah, well, it's a similar sort of thing, really. It was it was a game of two halves, really, wasn't it? I mean, first half, we should have been out of sight by half time before Biss. Oh, mate, what happened with him? We'll talk about that a little bit later. But that was a red cloud descending, wasn't it? Oh, my goodness. And then Luton came back into it second half. I mean, they're going to be a little bit hard done by that they didn't get something out of the game, I guess. But we should have been way clear before that even happened. So, but we got there. And we'll talk about the centre-backs in a bit. Because they were outstanding.
They really were. We will come on to that. But I kind of wanted to start in a chronological order of the game in the sense that those glaring misses and the first culprit for those, if we want to, culprit's a bit of a harsh word, but Richarlison just can't seem to get a break, can he, Johnny? What's your thoughts of him? Is this, are you running out of patience with him, or does he just need more time before this kind of all clicks together?
I guess it's a funny one because I think I was kind of sticking up for him for quite a long time, and then he had his mare sort of few bad games in a row, and then went off to Brazil and had a really bad time over there, and then he came back and got on the score sheet for us. So it was kind of hoping that things would, maybe a bit of momentum would gather, but he's really a couple of chances yesterday. He should have got at least a couple of goals yesterday. There was second one, there was a decent save, but still, I think he just lifted it over the keeper. It's not for somebody of Brazil's number 9. You gotta believe he's going to be putting that in. So I'm sure it's a confidence thing, isn't it? And it's tough because he's the outlier with all our other players playing so well. It's so consistent, and he's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. Whereas probably in an average side, he wouldn't be getting so much scrutiny. But I guess it's such an obvious position, and unfortunately for him, he's still got the ability. It's just can he actually find it for us? I don't know.
It's not like he's not putting the effort in. There has been a change in personality though, where he's not storming off and throwing his shirt and doing that kind of. I wouldn't describe it as childish, but I'd describe it as just letting your emotions get control of your performance. It seems to have calmed down, but it's still not clicking. Stu, what are you thinking with him? Is he just in the wrong position, or is it just time to move on from him? Or what's your?
I think with my cop glasses on, it was a clear penalty. He was tugged back on the first one. I was close to demanding a replay, so luckily we got the winner. No, I think it's just a case of, as Johnny said, I think in a side at the top, when you're not at the same level as your teammates, it sticks out. He's been playing for the likes of Watford, Everton, were obviously at the lower end of the table, and he was one of their better players. Now he's surrounded by top class players, and at this level, you're expected to finish your chances. And the second one, I agree, it was a tough one. It was a good save, but that first one, I mean, that was just shocking. And
but Stu, that second one, he didn't set himself right for it either.
No,
I mean, a top
right.
class striker isn't leaning back, catching it with the inside of his toe. And yes, the keeper made a decent save. I get that. But, a £60 million number 9 is smashing that into the corner of the goal. And the first one as well, he got pulled back, but he got pulled back almost as he made contact. It didn't really make that much difference.
Nah, I was joking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I mean, I've had my views on Richarlison, and yet my views haven't changed since the start of the season. If I'm honest, I think he's struggling. I'm just not sure he's at this level. It's almost like it's not even as though his body movement for that second one. It didn't even look like he was going to score as he lined up to take the shot. It was always off balance. He wasn't. I feel for him because I think he's got. You can't be Brazil's number 9 and not be any good. But he's just not doing it for us. Sorry, Stu.
Yeah, but
the issue with
the
issue with Brazil is, if you think about it, they don't really have a number 9 at the moment, which I think is why him and Jesus are their number 9s. Because Jesus is not a great finisher either. Let's be honest. And I agree. He just reminds me a little bit like Soldado when he first got here and he was getting all those chances and he kept missing. And we persevered, and it just never came to fruition. I just think the same thing now. I think nice lad. Really feel sorry for him with all the issues off the field, but I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, I think if he was to leave, we wouldn't look at him disdainfully in any way. It would just be a case of thanks for your efforts. It didn't work out in the same way it was with Soldado. But he wasn't the only one with a glaring miss, was he, Hollie? Shortly after, our wing-back Porro missed a clear chance, didn't he? Was anyone else that stood out for you in that game, performance-wise in particular?
I think going to the Pedro Porro one, it was just annoying. I think, like you said, with the Richarlison one, I think it was harder to miss the first chance he had than it was to score, which absolutely baffled me. But yeah, Pedro Porro's miss again was annoying. I think he's been a little bit of a dark horse recently. I think he hasn't had a lot of praise. Again, it's not a standout performance for him, but I think he's going under the radar slightly. In terms of other players, I know you said we'll get onto the centre-back partnership later on. But for me, I think I'd like to point out Sarr, because I don't think he had the best first half performance, but obviously when we get into a player being taken off, he really added to the team. His work rate was incredible. So I'd like to mention Sarr just for that second half performance, I think.
Yeah, he did really well. I think that's a really good point. I saw some people criticising him in the first 20 minutes, and I thought that's really, really harsh. And when we went down to 10 men, his performance stepped up another level, didn't it? Every game seems to get 5% better, in my opinion. It's just, it's been great. But do we want to kind of start moving on to those centre-backs, Johnny? Like,
out from those two, the other one I think really deserves to be mentioned is Kulusevski, because he had to basically run his socks off on his own for those last 20 minutes or so. Yeah. And he was quite effective. I know I really like him. I know he's not the quickest, but he is getting better. I think he's slowly getting better. He's very, very consistent this season. And the way that he was just, there was a couple of times towards the end of the game, and he wasn't just taking the ball. He was running the length of the field, and he was there was one time when he held the ball up and he played it, kept possession in the final third of Luton and stuff. And it's just, I think his effort, his work ethic, and I also sent in a few decent crosses. I think he was the one that sent the ball in for the Richarlison chance at the start of the game. I'm really pleased with how he's doing.
It's just a shame.
How many times was he our out ball in the last 20 minutes?
Yeah.
That right hand side. Every time we looked to get out from the back, he was up there on his own like numerous times, and he held it up and he came back and into skip, and there was a couple of interchanges there. He was just doing a great job for us.
He was. It's just a shame he doesn't seem to be much of a goal threat consistently, isn't it? Because I think that's what we can't keep going into these games. Well, I know we go into them with this confidence that we're going to smash. We're finally going to get that Ange result, which we've been waiting for, the 5-0, and we just keep going, and someone's saying, please stop, as we keep pummeling them and they're already in pieces on the floor. But until we can add goals beyond Maddison and Son consistently in the team, I don't think we're going to experience that kind of result. And that's why Johnson was bought, wasn't it? He's supposed to be that 10 to 15 goal winger. And I think Kulusevski he's a fantastic player to have in the squad with a great work ethic, great technique, but he's not for that kind of game like for that kind of player that's going to probably score 10, 15 goals a season. Looking at him, but
he was pretty clinical when he first came in, wasn't he? That those first few mons, like
Yeah.
when we got the top four, he scored a fair few
And
goals.
the keeper did make a good save from him as well, didn't he? I mean, that save down to the keeper's right. That was in the far corner all day long until the keeper nudged it around the post. So I thought he had a good game, Decky. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah.
I think it's about a confidence player though as well. I mean, I think since he's come back from international break, he's been the player we signed when we first got him. There's lots of people saying he isn't to the level he was, but I think goals will come. It's just, again, I think it's maybe the international breaks again's come at the right time. So when he comes back, he'll finally add that element of a goal. So who knows?
Yeah. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. He did have quite a few injuries last season as well, and some struggles. So yeah, and he's had to adapt to a whole new system. So yeah, and in terms of the other key players for the game, I thought the centre backs were both absolutely outstanding, as we touched on earlier, and the goalkeeper was as well once again. And actually, Stu, I want to pass before we go on to our beautiful centre backs. I want to touch on Vicario because you were telling us we should sign him way before we did. As a follower of Serie A, telling us what a great keeper he is. What did you make of Vicario in that game?
I mean, obviously, I'm gonna shout his credit to the world. I mean, that save that he pulled off with his left hand when it was still 0-0. I mean, that was fantastic. I mean, that was the one that Onana let in yesterday or the day before. Is the same that Vicario managed to hold out, and everyone wanted us to sign Onana. He just stops everything. I can't think of a mistake he's made that's led to a goal. Yes, the first game against Brentford, he looked a little dodgy, but since then he's just grown in confidence. You can see he's loving being here, and I think he also exudes confidence to back four. We talked about it, the Arsenal game, how when Udogie made the mistake, he was telling him, no, don't worry, the mistake's on me. He's just taken on all the responsibilities, playing a leading role, and, he's doing his bit as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, he really has done exceptionally well to make it just enable us to forget that we had, the France World Cup winning captain in between our sticks for 7 years and feel like we've somehow managed to upgrade on him so seamlessly. Has just been incredible. But those down to the player, which was quite rightly received a standing ovation at the end, and I saw the crowd were chanting his name. But Micky van der Ven was just he seems to have raised Romero's game as well, doesn't he? What did you guys make of him? Hollie, are you a big fan?
Oh, I call him Daddy Longlegs. That's what I call him. I love him so much. And like you said, I think he enhances Romero's performance. And I know that I think Romero's a bit more level-headed now because he's got that captaincy role. But having someone that has legs that can manage to get back if they're countering it and he needs to come in and make a tackle, is just insane. And like you say, he managed to be in the right place at the right time for that goal as well. I mean, it's just incredible. And it's so nice to have a centre-back partnership now where I don't stress 24/7. It's just a nice feeling, to be honest.
It is. But we'll touch on that. My greatest fear in life is losing one of those two at the moment. Because they are just so good. And Johnny, what about his partner Romero? What about his performance? Another mature one, wasn't it?
I mean, to be honest with you, I reckon he was even better than Van der Ven yesterday. I think obviously Van der Ven's got the goal. It was a beautiful finish. I mean, it was a really calm finish, wasn't it? The way he just pivoted his body slightly there to open up to place the strike in the put you on the keeper. But I think Romero he's just completely changed his like. I know he's still got the fire in his belly, like in terms of his like determination and his physicality and everything else, but he's really, really calm now. Like he's just very, very like the number of times when he's not just like shepherding the ball and distributing, finding his own teammate. He's always liked to go forward, but he's really making a difference with his forward runs as well. And there was one move in the first half when he carried the ball like half the pitch, and then he took a 1-2 and then went down the right wing, and it's like he was really, really comfortable to be doing that sort of playing that sort of role, which is obviously really important for Ange to have that sort of centre half. But I just think, yeah, exactly what Hollie said. The way that the way they've combined together as a partnership in such a short period of time is really, really kind of given us the Toby Jan vibes, and God, we've been waiting a long time for it, so it's fab. But yeah, there is a worry about if something was to disrupt that. When you look at the bench, it's pretty non-existent.
Yeah, it's I've kind of got this countdown timer in my head of the January transfer window because I feel like I just want to get to that point with those two intact. And with all these ACLs popping everywhere around at the moment, and that, you know, seeing that horrific injury for the Sheffield United number 6, oh God, that was absolutely grim. Just fill you with a bit of fear, doesn't it, thinking that happened to one of your own? But God, we go around the whole team and praise them. But there was one kind of slip up, which I think from Udogie, but overall another good performance. Would you say, Si, from him? Oh,
yeah, he was on top of his game. There was that little bit of a slip up that led to the chance. I can't remember what one it was. Was it the Doughty volley? Or no, it was the Adebayo far post chance, wasn't it? Earlier doors. How he's missed that. I mean, it makes Richie's chance look like an overhead kick, doesn't it? Jesus, I don't know how that happened. But other than that, he was solid again. I mean, 20 years old. I don't know how many superlatives we can pile on top of the fellow. He's every time we talk about him, he's one of the best left backs in the Premiership already. And
got a call up.
Yeah, he got a call up, and for the Italian national, great, fantastic.
So I don't know what else you can say. Fantastic. I mean, that back line, if you like, I mean, that's totally different to last year. You take the two centre backs. I think you have to take them as a whole as well, because they complement each other so well that without each other, I'm not sure they're the players that they are. And then if you take Van der Ven and Udogie, that left-hand side, they just complement each other so well as well. I mean, the speed of Van der Ven, unbelievable. I mean, like Daddy Long Legs, absolutely lets them legs go, and he's just eats up the yards, doesn't he? He's fantastic. And then it's not even just the football. You listen to him interviewed afterwards, and you just think, mate, what a fella. Yeah. What a fellow. He talks so graciously, he talks so sensibly, he knows where he's at, he knows where he wants, he knows what he's got to do. Mate, if we can keep these two fit long time, I think they're better than I think they could be better than Jan and Toby, honestly. I think they've got more physicality about them than those two, and they could be better. I'm not sure they are right now, but they could be.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I think they offer a little bit more pace as well. Toby was a brilliant ball distributor, but sometimes I could see why some of those players I can see they're brilliant for us, but you can see why they're not quite that elite Real Madrid kind of bracket of player that those kind of clubs are sniffing around. And I feel Romero and Van der Ven could well be in that elite bracket. But saving the kind of superstar for last, who just he's like Ericsson, but with even more of a goal threat, better delivery on set pieces. He can spin a man out of nowhere. Of course, it's James Maddison. He's just sublime, isn't he? Is there any? What a bargain! How did we get that guy for 40 million quid sat in the Championship? And what a gift from above that he was sat there going, "No, I want Tottenham." Like wherever that came from, and instantly slotted in like he's been with us for life. Brilliant. He's going to be the name on the back of every kid's shirt, isn't he? Surely. What did you make of the performance then, Stu, of Madders?
I thought, I mean, before the game, we were going on about how he's got almost twice as many, chances created than Odegaard, who everyone was saying was much better than he was. And you're thinking, how is it that, putting on my England hat, how everyone's always praising Mason Mount, etc. He's crap compared to Maddison, not fit to lace his boots. And he cost, 60 million? And every time he steps out for Man United, he looks terrible. Maddison is unbelievable. And the thing that I love most is he seems to love Spurs. I don't know what it is, but he just seems to get it. He's been here, 2 weeks, it seems like. And he just says everything right. There he's, doing little social media clips with his son in a Spurs shirt and all the rest of it. And he just plays like, the Spurs heroes that I grew up, watching as a kid. And that spin he did for the goal, I mean, it just, it's almost a replica from the other side as the goal that we scored against Arsenal. had Son finished off. And speaking of the goal, I thought Andrew was a bit harsh on Van de Ven when he said he toe poked it. I mean, not even close. He clearly turned his hips inside foot. I was like, Ange, come on, give the big boy some credit.
It was a bit harsh, wasn't it? But it was almost like it was a mini version of that turn he did for Saka, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
That left him still doing his dart celebration as we scored. It was just another epic performance. A little bit of a quiet one from Sonny, but he's carrying 2 injuries by the sounds of it at the moment, and I couldn't really criticise the guy. He was up against 2 very physical centre backs, nursing an injury, and it was just a little bit quiet. But we could go through that whole team every week at the moment. They're just all doing so well, except for our poor Richie. But we've got to remind ourselves, he's probably our 4th choice left winger at the moment due to a bit of an injury crisis there. But should we move on to one of the calamities of the game? I'd say they're another person who should be on the naughty step, and he's been great 9 times out of 10 this season, but Bissouma, did this first foul, Hollie, seem to you like the deliberate yellow card he was looking for? Which, anyone saw that?
I think the first one, was obviously they were going on the break, so he thought, I need to take him out, basically, which is fair enough. I mean, he has got a lot of yellow cards already this season. There's lots of people saying, is that really what we need? But I think it's been working. I think, sadly, he's decided, like Si was saying earlier, the red clouds come down and he's decided that there's 5 players around me, I'm going to dive. I think it's just a ridiculous thing to do, especially on the stroke of half time as well. The timing was off. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, if you felt something, fair enough. But when you watch the replay, honestly, it was like ghost limbs. There was no way. Very, very silly from him.
It really was. It was.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I don't think there's any really excusing him. It was just stupidity. I felt, the first one looked almost a little bit like, I need to get this yellow card out the way. He's somehow, we all went into that game thinking, at least there's no way he can really miss the Chelsea game. And he literally hold my beer and watch this. And it was how did you even come up with that, Bissouma? For goodness sake. But I think we owe him a free pass for his performances so far this season, don't we?
I think so, but you've got to cut that out of the game, though, Jim. I mean, that is just...
Totally.
I mean, I don't know what you do to cut that out. The only thing you can do to cut that out of the game is you make that a straight red. If it's cheating and the referee says it's simulation and it's like, because there was nothing there at all, you make it a straight red and then they'll stop doing it. Because if that happens against us, we're fuming.
Yeah, but it comes down... Go on, Stu.
No, I was going to say, I think in general, like Andrew was asked before the game about how many yellow cards Bissouma's picked up. Is he going to have a word? He said no. But I think he really needs to. I disagreed with you, Jim, that when you said that, he did it on purpose to get the booking. I don't think he did. He doesn't need
I don't think he did
to do it on purpose because he gets a yellow every single game. And he needs to cut it out because it's getting ridiculous.
It was clumsy, wasn't it? It was clumsy, and there was no... I don't think there was any need for it either. I mean, there was covering defenders there as well. He didn't have to do it. The fella wasn't really going anywhere.
It's on the centre line, for goodness sake.
I think he got himself caught up behind him in a little bit of a melee, and then he stuck his arm around him, and it didn't have to be a booking.
One of his yellow, one of his 5 or 6, I suppose you could say now, yellows was in the North London derby, and he was telling the ref to book one of their players. Like, I mean, that's kind
Some of them are silly, aren't they? They're silly.
Yeah, it's like that and the dive. I to be honest with you, I think fair play to the ref actually for sending him off, because it's like with the time wasting, they're too scared to give second yellows for things like that usually when it's
fair enough.
So I think Bissouma really needs to cop on.
He deserved it.
He really did. And
So then the question is, do you rest him against Palace to make sure he's available for Chelsea?
I don't know. It's a little bit small club, though, isn't it?
But we've got to have him for Chelsea.
I don't know, do we, though? Are we a bit above that now?
Yes. Yes, we do, Jim. Come on.
Not even a question, mate.
Fucking hell.
I think we beat them without Bissouma.
With Skip or Højbjerg, please. Come on.
Jimbo, come on, son. Wake up.
Guys, I don't think you realise how far we've progressed above them lot now.
So who are you having in there instead of Bissouma then to win against Chelsea? I mean, I'm not saying we wouldn't, But wouldn't you rather have Basuma in there than not have him in there?
Oh,
Come
of
on.
course, I'd rather have him in there, but I think we're being a bit
So rest him against Palace then, because he's definitely going to get a booking against Palace.
Why is Palace away going to be easier than Chelsea at home at the moment when you look at the table?
Well, they've just won 4-1 away.
It's just because we're scarred from so many performances against Chelsea that we're not thinking logically.
That's the point.
We cannot lose the game against Poch. No way,
we
no how.
cannot lose the first home game against him.
I'm not saying we're going to lose. I'm going to say we're going to win without him.
Tim.
I can't.
Tim.
I rate the optimism, man.
Ange and I are here. You lot just aren't with us yet. You'll join us. You'll join us. A few more weeks at the top of the table, and you'll be there with us.
To be fair, you've been like the predicting octopus for the for the results, haven't you? You've been all over it.
True. So there you go. I nearly got this one right as well. I was the only one who said narrow 1-goal win. Everyone else said 4-1.
I knew you were going to come up with that, and I'm sorry, I'm not giving you that because if we'd have taken our chances, we'd have finished 5 or 6-0.
There you go. Yeah.
I knew. Yeah, but if they're taking their chances, they had two. They had two.
Well, they would have had their
10 men.
chances if we'd have took our chances.
Yeah, but my estimation was, look, all I'm going to say is that counts. That's 8 in a row.
That counts.
I'm taking it.
All I'm saying is that counts.
Yet again, not quite the right score, but it counts.
Oh dear.
Okay, you guys try to take it from me. A win's a win. We won. That's all that really matters. We're top of the league, and the results today are going very well for us. If Arsenal and City continue to, if they finish 0-0 like it is now, that's a really great set of results, isn't it, going to the international break? But on this kind of note, what is success this season to us now, considering everything that's happened? So I think we went into the season, and the podcast as a whole, Hollie, and we went for top 7 and good attacking football with green shoots of young players coming through, and the belief that in 2 or 3 years Ange would have us competing for something would be a really successful start to the campaign. Has anyone changed what their expectations are for the season? So Sai's got his hand up.
Yes.
What's your expectation, Sai?
I think I said, I'll have to go back and listen to the pod, but I think I said 6th. I think 6th or 5th. But if you look at the stat that Match of the Day put up yesterday, we're finishing top 4. Because, 26 out of 28 teams that have got this many points at this stage of the season have finished in the top 4. So I think top 4 is a definite reality for us now. You look at the games coming up, and I'm not seeing really who's beating us until we see City. That's going to be a massive game for us. I fancy us getting Chelsea as long as Basuma's playing, and I think we haven't got that much between now and City that's going to frighten us too much. So we could be going into Christmas easily in the top 2 or 3, and then it becomes a bit more of a reality. Then it's a bit more when I think, like you said in the WhatsApp group earlier, Jim, could we become more than just a joke? Could we? We might.
Yeah.
We could. When does it become more of a reality? I don't know. But I think top 4 now, if you look at the teams around us, that's a reality now.
I agree. We haven't, as a fan base and a team, experienced a loss yet under Ange, which I'm interested to see if we have the steel to stick together when that happens, because that one League Cup exit, all the infighting broke out again. Should have bought this player, should have not sold that player, should have done this, should have done that. And everyone was up at each other's throats again with their different agendas based on what you believe in and where the club should be and all that stuff. I just hope we don't do that after the first defeat and start to see the wind.
Ange doesn't get too over the top when we win either. That's what I really like about him. The interviewers want him to start talking about the title. They want him to start talking about top 4. They want him to start talking about all of this. And it's like, well, listen, we are where we are. We'll be where we are. And as long as we're playing the football we want to play, that's the main thing. And let's just go with that because it's great.
Yeah. Hollie, what about you? What was your pre-season feeling versus where would you have been happy with before we kicked a ball this season versus now?
kind of on the same level as you guys at the start of the season. I would just be happy to see the Tottenham brand of football again and having a connection back with my club, because I don't know about you guys, the last 2 seasons I felt so much disconnect from it. But now I'm like, I can't wait for every game. And before I would love for international breaks to come around the corner. Now I dread it because I'm like, I've got no handful. So I think now, I don't want to say I think I'm looking forward to top 4, because I think still, like you said, we haven't had a loss yet, and it is a very long season. But the way things are going, it could become a reality. But I'm going to sit on the fence and say that maybe top 6 would be great for me. And the fact that we actually have a proper run at this FA Cup, because we've exited out of one cup, we need to proper put not all our eggs in one basket, because the Premier League is still important, but I'd like us to have a proper run in that FA Cup.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, would you? It's a silly question, because I think we'd all resoundingly take the FA Cup in 6th and finishing in 4th. Maybe us of 12 years ago might have taken a Champions League experience, but we're a bit beyond that. We want some silverware now, aren't we? What about Stu? Like, in terms of your expectations, would you be happy with top 6?
No. So beginning of the season, I predicted top 6, and I already said, I think a couple of games ago already, that I was now wanting Champions League, so that whether that's top 4, top 5, and now the way we're playing, I want top 4. I still think, I saw the image at Match of the Day with 11 teams at this point who'd gone on to win the title, but how many of those were competing against Man City? If Man City win today, they go back top again. So it's a different reality. So I still think chances of winning the title, let's wait till February. But I still want top 4.
What about you, Johnny? You minimum expectations of top 4 now?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I bizarrely went for 5th at the beginning of the year, which I must have just been on a particularly jolly evening. I'm not sure what happened, but I definitely think that we have to be looking at top 4. And I don't understand how all the calculations are made, but the European coefficient thing, when looking at the results from midweek, which were very enjoyable, especially the result from Lens or Lens or however you pronounce it, you want to make sure of that. I don't know if what it takes for a 5th not to get the English Premier League side in, but I think we really should be getting top 4. I definitely think we should be getting top 4. I mean, look at the teams we played against. Like, out of City, we really have played against all the other top rivals. But I definitely agree with Stu. I mean, to be honest with you, my mate Scott, who I often refer to, he sent another message to me today, and he was saying, that he'd predicted that the Goons would get top 3 within 2 or 3 seasons when they were finishing 8th. And I actually lost a lot of money betting against that prediction. And he was really adamant that when Ange came in, that we'd be winning the title or the Champions League in the first 3 years. And he does know his football. And he was saying to me, "Do you believe me now?" And I said, "Listen, I'm sorry, but I've been supporting Tottenham all my life. I can't, I know it's there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. And I think that actually, as Hollie was saying at the beginning of the pod, that the way that we had to grind that win out yesterday was a whole other demonstration of a new dimension that we've not seen before. I think Postecoglou has done an unbelievable job, as we already knew, but not just in the sort of swashbuckling, improved attacking play, but also just that this amazing spirit and togetherness, connection, as Hollie said as well, with the supporters. And we are doing the whole never stop thing. Like, we are keeping going to the end, and I don't really think that. I mean, I know Luton, if they had a decent finish, then they probably would have got a goal or whatever. But we saw it out, and there's a lot of reasons to be there for it. It's just down to the injuries. But I still think we should get top 4, because there's not a massive amount of games between now and January. I mean, we're probably halfway to the January window now. So it's amazing. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I think a lot of it depends as well on how good our friend Rodrigo is when he comes back. If he comes back like anything like he was last season, and that midfield surely looks a bit unstoppable. If you have Basuma, Bentancur, and they're together with Sarr in the squad as well, it's just incredible. And if Johnson meets expectations, I don't think we should underestimate how big that could be. And lastly, it just feels like all the teams around us, a bit like when Arsenal last season had their run. I think in a normal season, inverted commas, they wouldn't have taken it that far. They'd probably come third or fourth. But in the way that Newcastle are juggling Europe, despite them being good, and they haven't had enough transfer windows to build a deep squad yet. Chelsea are still off the mark. They're improving, but they're still miles off a title challenge. Man United are an absolute mess. City are riddled of injuries at the moment, and they seem to be limping through games a bit more rather than smashing their way through doors. So again, there's that going on, and the FFP allegations going on around them. It just feels like, and Brighton just don't have the depth, it seems, to compete in Europe. It just feels like maybe we're the outliers of that in terms of, we keep saying our squad's not deep enough, but the squad's not that thin when everyone's fit. And we've got one game a week. Like, it's such an advantage. It really, really is. We're going to go into playing clubs like Newcastle and City when they've been flying off to, Barcelona, what it is, 3 days before, and we've just been sat at home, doing our recovery sessions and preparing for that game. So I believe I'm going to put my neck out and say we're going to be within 6 points of the title in February. And then watch this space, see what happens from there. I'm going to be there.
What have you been smoking these days?
I've been smoking Ange Postecoglou's hair. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so any final comments, everyone? Anything anyone wants to add before we finish and wrap up?
I just want to say, what about, we've got a good squad apart from centre backs, but we do seem to be picking up a lot of injuries. Celso's been out.
If you play on the left. If you play on the left, particularly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I fear for Gilles.
Yeah. But so there's good points you made, but I looked, and then I went on to the Physio Premier League table and looked at the Tottenham injuries, and I was thinking, like, Lo Celso's had injury problems for ever since we signed him, basically. We've never been able to keep him fit. Sessegnon's another one. He's just never been fit. Bentancur was last season. That's nothing to do with Ange. Basuma's suspended. He's not injured. Alfie Whiteman's another injury. That's nothing to do with him. It's just Johnson, who I don't think we can associate that to Ange Ball, because he kind of came in and was injured before he'd even had a training session. So I think my natural thing was it's the high intensity play. But having broken it down, I'm thinking it's just a bit of bad fortune. And Perisic being a 38-year-old or whatever he is, and just being a bit fragile. But there you go.
Yeah, I think it's too soon to label it as high intensity play. I mean, if you look at the end of the season, start next season, and you had a lot of stress injuries, then maybe. But it's too early in Postecoglou's tenure to be pointing the finger at any sort of training or high intensity game injuries. I'm not sure that, to your point, Jim, I'm not sure that holds any water, really.
Maybe it's not, but then it's just bad luck. But then we don't need any more. Is kind of my point. Because, but we've had a lot of players out, which I don't think many pundits have kind of acknowledged.
Well, because they're Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man United pundits. That's why.
That's true.
Yeah. But I'd just like to finish off by saying we did the shirt giveaway, and Neil won that. He's decided to donate it to charity or someone.
Nice one, Neil, Mr. Spectre.
He's
well
a good
done.
lad.
Nice, yeah.
So we'll do that, and at 2,000 subscribers, we're going to do another giveaway. So do make sure you subscribe and help us out, because I think, like in all channels, 80% of your listeners regularly listen, but they don't subscribe, and then one day YouTube will stop telling you when we post videos. And
no, will they?
Yeah, and that's just
no.
ruin it. Exactly.
Don't let that happen, people.
And the other thing is,
like and subscribe.
And when you've watched this video, head over to Hollie's Hotspurs. She's got an episode going live tomorrow at 7 p.m, so you can continue your Tottenham
therapy. And it's much
therapy.
better than this shit, I tell you. It's much better than this.
Without a doubt.
It is. I'd say, yeah.
If you're prepared to listen to this shit, get over there and see how it's really done.
But do check Hollie out. She's also on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days. You can find her under her Twitter handle, which is Hollie Agumbar on Twitter, or Hollie Hotspurs on YouTube. So up the Spurs, everyone.
Go on, you Spurs.
Go on, Spurs.